Denny Blanco, my man, how you doing?
Your dreams have now been fulfilled. You're now rocking with the best. It's your boy Randy J. Cruz alongside me. You know who it is. The NBA Whisperer, Denny Blanco. Ooh, it's going to be a conversation tonight. We got a special guest in the building. Randy, talk to us.
That's right. Joining us here on the podcast, we got senior lead NBA insider at Bally Sports, my man Scoop B. Robinson, Brandon Scoop B. Robinson. B, my man, how you doing?
I'm blessed. I'm glad to be in the flesh with two gentlemen to my left and to my right, making magic happen. Thank you so much, as always, for having me.
No problem, man. You can find Denny Blanco on both IG and Twitter as Sir Denny Blanco. Find Scoop Robinson on Twitter as Scoop B. Find myself, Randy J. Cruz, R-E-N-D-Y, letter J, C-R-U-Z on both IG and Twitter. Find the podcast on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, also on Amazon Music, and youtube.com/Cruise Control Podcast. So, Scoop B, once the playoff bracket was out and about, I said there's only a handful of guys I can reach out to and would respond to me in a quick time to say, you know what? If you're doing a show, I got you. Let's do it tonight. Playoffs are here. The bracket is out. Eastern Conference, Western Conference. Before we get into the matchups, Scoop, what's your take on this current bracket right now? Like, not the individual. Like, did you see when the season started? Are these the exact teams you thought was going to make the entire bracket right now?
Are we talking playing or are we talking playoffs?
Everything involved.
Play in with the playoffs.
Playing, yeah.
Play Sacramento, I didn't see, and if I said I did, then I'd be a liar. I'm happy for the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah.
I remember, covering the finals and, spending some time with Mike Brown after he accepted the job. And, and we talked about just how excited he was for the opportunity staying in Northern California and getting a legitimate chance again to be a head coach. He sat on that Warriors bench for a while as an assistant, and there were some cards that were shuffled in the offseason with Kenny Atkinson ultimately staying with the Warriors and not accepting the job with the Charlotte Hornets. So it was a matter of time before there'd be some guys that would move up at some point. You see Kenny's name again in different discussions as far as head coaching vacancies. But really and truly, I'm happy for Mike Brown. I'm happy for the Sacramento Kings. And I'm glad to see De'Aaron Fox get his just due. I think when you look at Fox and when he was drafted, everybody was on the Lonzo Ball train for obvious reasons. I was glad to see De'Aaron get the better hand of Lonzo a couple years ago in the NCAA tournament. But now he gets the upper hand as a representative of the Sacramento Kings alongside Domantas Sabonis and others on that team. So I think that's what I'm happy for. As far as some of the other teams in the Western Conference specifically, I thought that the Lakers at the beginning of the season would have been about a fifth or sixth seed. And I said that at the beginning of the season, and a lot of people thought I was crazy. I felt that the Lakers had the personnel, even with Russell Westbrook on that team at the time. They just had two ball-dominant guards, if you will, and LeBron that just needed their own team. So, they're separated by a hallway now. And I look at the Lakers and I look at the Clippers respectively as two teams that have grinded it out all season. I'm really glad to see my brother Darvin Ham coach to completion. Because they put him in a situation that at the beginning I felt was unwinnable in the eyes of the public opinion. Many people would dream of being at the helm of the Los Angeles Lakers organization, but under those circumstances, over the last couple of years, post bubble and more, it wasn't ideal. And I think that when you look at the standings, probably the thing that I look at that I think we should examine is the Warriors. How low they are in the standings, and a lot of it has to do with injuries. I mean, you've had Steph Curry out for some time. I know everybody talks about Zion Williamson in New Orleans being out for some time. Steph Curry was out for some time this season too. And really and truly, when I look at this Warriors team, they remind me in some aspects of what they were last season. Like they were without Klay Thompson for much of the regular season, and then he got healthy and did what he needed to do. And you look at this season this year. Start out the season with fights with Jordan Poole and Draymond, and then out in and out with Steph and James Wiseman moved, and just a lot of just peaks and valleys, because that is what the storyline of an NBA team is. But I'm glad to see Sacramento win. I hope to see the Warriors and the Lakers move past the first round. I think the Lakers have the personnel to do so. I so too do think the Clippers do, and still got to give your just due to the Denver Nuggets, who have endured all season. But we'll see what happens when they're battle tested in the playoffs.
So I'll get one more in before Denny goes. So staying on Sacramento, me and Denny have mentioned Sacramento quite a few times on this show, even like in November, December, very early. Like, hey, this Sacramento team is obviously young, they're fun, energetic. Could they make any playoff run when that time comes? And listen, them making the playoffs is one thing, but you're the 3 seed. That is like holy shit. You're above the Suns and the Clippers and the Warriors, even the Mavericks, who are not even in the fucking playoffs. Could this be a situation where, and I asked Dennis this off the air, that you're taking a Warriors team, defending champion, going through a lot of injuries and personal stuff, but now they're back together, and a hot nucleus team like Sacramento, very young. Could this be a changing of the guard kind of moment if like Sacramento was to kind of propel over Golden State in the first round?
I'm not sure if it's a changing of the guard. I think it's a situation where um, I think we as consumers of basketball, aside from what we do professionally, we as consumers of basketball, I think oftentimes we editorialize the task at hand. I think if we go into a situation where the Sacramento Kings were to beat the Warriors, that's one series.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I feel like last year, if the Memphis Grizzlies had beaten the Warriors, we'd have the same conversation. I have often felt, and I've shared this with Draymond Green this season. I look at the Warriors this season, and I think they're this generation San Antonio Spurs. To put it in hood terms, they're literally the roach that just won't die.
I like it. I like it.
To put it in professional terms, to me, the Warriors are that team that are the YMCA team that's 40 and up. That those young 20-somethings think they could just come in and beat that 40-something team, and the 40-something team whacks the floor with them. I really think that, okay, if the Kings beat them this year, great story. But the Warriors still have proven, being a bottom seed last season, that they could still go in and beat 20-somethings. They did that in the finals last year. And you saw that a couple decades ago where the Spurs would just pop in 07, 05, 2013, 2014.
Yeah.
And then they added pieces, like they added Kawhi, and then he ended up going somewhere else. So I think even if Sacramento were to beat them, I think the Warriors still won last year, and they can still come back the following year and do some of the same things. So I think we're at that point with the Warriors. They're the modern day San Antonio Spurs.
All right, Denny Blanco.
Sir, that's fair. I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, I'm like, the San Antonio Spurs is known for consistency and championship pedigree, and that's what they have. So what I want, you said a lot, because I'm thinking, as you were talking, I was thinking about just, asking so many questions, but I wanted you to finish. But, the Lakers got some new pieces. I mean, you got some new pieces there. So I was just telling Randy, I said, I don't know if they've played, we said 2 months. I don't know if they played enough to have this, to go far or deep in the playoff, this playoff run this year. I don't know if they have enough. And then you mentioned Sacramento and this matchup here with Golden State. Sabonis is going to get it's going to be a lot of Draymond Green for Sabonis. It's going to be a lot of Draymond Green, and that championship pedigree is going to lean on Sacramento. Does Sacramento have enough playoff pedigree to actually overcome that? I don't know. But you mentioned all of that, and I say all that to say, do you think the Lakers, even, let's say hypothetically speaking, because I see obviously they played with Minnesota Minnesota. Let's say they get past Minnesota.
Then they
have enough to get past the Memphis Grizzlies? What do you think?
I think there's a few layers. First of all, when you talk about the Lakers and them not spending enough time together, or post trade and more, One of the things that I think they had the benefit of is being a team playing without LeBron and becoming a team with LeBron. And this is a team that's played without Anthony Davis. This is a team that's played without LeBron. This is a team that's played with both LeBron and Anthony Davis with a new team. This is a team that has gone through the struggle. This is a team that's been pretty efficient the second half of the season. I read something that said that the Lakers had the best record in the NBA season overall since the second half of the season. I don't remember exactly what the record was.
Didn't I tell you that, Denny? Didn't I tell you that?
But I feel like I spent some time with the Lakers last week in Houston and caught up with some of the players. I went as a fan, but I was in the back, and I caught up with some of the stars. I caught up with some of the coaching staff. I caught up with some of the role players. And I said this to one person within the organization. I said, y'all, I really think that y'all have the potential, if healthy, to make it all the way. And they said to me, we do too. And I said, y'all are really shining in these streets. And the response to me was, we're shining because the people who are there actually want to be there. And my response was, well, the people who don't want to be there, one of them is down the hall. And they said to me, like I said, the ones who want to be here, they here. The ones who aren't, they ain't. Take that for what that is. But I also think that they upgraded. I mean, Vanderbilt, to me, defensively, has been a gem. D'Angelo Russell, I think, takes pressure at times as the primary ball handler off LeBron. I also like some of the other pieces on that team. But Beasley has been good. Like I really think like there's a lot of pieces there that trade benefited both the Lakers and the Kings. But I also think that LeBron got extra rest. He told me last week he feels good. He's taking his time. And AD shared similar sentiments with me just about his journey. I know there's been a lot of people who have been critical of his ability to stay healthy. And I think part of it is because I think both AD and LeBron have been dependent on to do more than just be AD and LeBron. And I think now they have some reinforcements. And I think they legitimately have a full figured team from top to bottom, even their role players. I mean, you added a rebounder, Mo Bamba. You added a role player just recently with Tristan Thompson, the guy who's been a championship ready and has participated in many championship situations. Kind of reminds me of Mitch Richmond or John Sally on Lakers teams, Horace Grant and more. It's just a matter of gelling and there's a lot of personality on that team. And to me, there's just things that just give me experienced vibes, even if they are figuring it out in the second half of the season.
Migo, you want to
Randy,
go?
please. Randy, please.
All right, so I'll go here. Before the air started, we mentioned two series that we are really in love with in the first round. Obviously, Sacramento and Golden State is one of them. And us being New Yorkers, the other one is the Knicks and the Cavaliers. I think those are the two best on paper. Like, wow, like I'm watching every single game. I'll watch Phoenix and the Clippers. I'll dabble in with whatever the other one is. Philly and Brooklyn. Comes down to New York, Cleveland, and Sacramento Warriors in the first round. Let's shift to Cleveland and New York real quick. We know the story. Donovan was and talks about being traded to New York, that he wasn't. Then he goes to the Cavaliers, and the Knicks keep everybody, but they signed Brunson. They thought they overpaid for him, but it looked like that was the best free agent signing in a very, very long time by any team in the NBA. Should have been an all-star, bar none. But we are here. Knicks are fifth, Cavs are fourth. You can't make this shit up. You can't write it any better. How much are you looking forward to this Cavaliers Knicks series in round one?
I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be an interesting and competitive matchup, mainly because I think this is the series that showcases a lot of the future of the NBA in the youth movement that there is.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think that one of the things that I'm excited from a Knicks perspective is RJ Barrett blossoming. You've seen him for years really be consistent in spite of the losing that has taken place for years
Mm.
at 2 Pennsylvania Plaza. The other day, it was either Sunday or sometime over the weekend, you just really saw him and his connectivity with Obi Toppin. And Obi played well in Sunday's game the other day, but throughout the course of the season, I mean, you've seen Quigley be Quigley and arguably a candidate for the NBA's Sixth Man of the Year.
That's right.
You've seen other guys like Grimes step up. Mitchell Robinson, when healthy, is part of that fold within the Knicks organization under Tibbs. You look at last season and you saw glimpses of what their young youth movement could be, and you see it in real time. The Jalen Brunson factor to me made all the difference in the world. So much so that's the reason why, a huge reason why I believe the Dallas Mavericks are in flux the way that they are, because he along with Spencer Dinwiddie were so much part of the inner fabric of the Dallas Mavericks, because you saw last season during the playoffs when Luka was dealing with a calf injury, they stepped it up in his absence at times against the Utah Jazz and others. But I'll add, I had a conversation with a player on a championship team, and they said to me the whole Kyrie factor as it relates to bringing him into Dallas. You hope to keep Luka happy, and I'm sure that was why Dallas did it. But if you really look at it, Jalen Brunson, Spencer Dinwiddie, or Kyrie, any day of the week, you're going to pick Kyrie because he's an all-star. But ultimately, is that enough for Luka and others to stay? Because when you look at the Dallas Mavericks, to me, Luka and Kyrie offer both some of the same things, at least on paper, on the floor. And I think you have to shift Luka more to a 3 position than a point guard position. But I still think they need a 1 to balance it out, a la what James Harden did with Brooklyn in the short stint he was there. But to go back to the whole Knicks thing, the storyline with Donovan Mitchell. I think what makes this Cavs team very interesting is this. Even without Donovan Mitchell, the Cleveland Cavaliers were still an explosive team. They really just added. If the Cleveland Cavaliers were a taco, Donovan Mitchell literally was just the guacamole and the Taco Bell mild sauce that you needed to complete the taco. They were already a made team, and I really think that trade between Utah and Cleveland benefited both Cleveland in the now and Utah in the future. I think that Donovan Mitchell, to me, he's made the playoffs every year since he's played, but I think now that he's further east, he gets more of the national attention that Utah may or may not have given him. But what I find interesting in this situation is, while we see Donovan Mitchell excelling in Cleveland, what has been revealed to us is some of the things that people were quietly talking about in Utah about Rudy Gobert as recently as over the weekend. Now you're seeing Donovan Mitchell shine in Cleveland, and you're seeing Rudy Gobert in a very interesting situation with a very easygoing Kyle Anderson. I say that when you look at Cleveland and when you look at the New York Knicks, I think that this is a matchup of the shoulda, coulda, woulda. Had Donovan Mitchell come to New York, I can tell you that Carmelo Anthony would have been a member of the Knicks, and Julius Randle might not be there right now. But Julius Randle is there, and he's been shining, and he's been proving a lot of New York critics wrong. And I really think that this is a Knicks team has been pretty impressive throughout the course of the season, and a season at the beginning where many people thought it was Brooklyn or bust. It's been Manhattan who's been making it happen. Manhattan keep on taking it, Brooklyn keep on making it. But at the end of the day, I think that this is great for the city that both the Knicks and the Nets are in the playoffs, and they're both young, exciting teams that I enjoy watching.
Yep, Denny.
This is for both of you guys and everyone watching. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm having a difficult time. Usually I can kind of gauge where some of these teams are going. I can usually see where the light is at the end of the tunnel, but because of health, I'm gonna have a difficult time. Not probably until maybe game one of the first round after the play-in. I'm probably not going to tell you where these teams will possibly go because I don't know who's going to be really healthy or not for the long term. What say you guys? Am I going crazy?
Go
Do you
ahead.
want to go
Go,
first?
go ahead, B. Go ahead, B.
Well, here's the thing. So, when everybody talks about the NBA's Eastern Conference, they've made it a foregone conclusion that it's going to just be Milwaukee, Boston, and even Philadelphia. The crazy thing is, I felt that Cleveland should be in the conversation and quietly has been. And if that were to be the case, that means that the Knicks would be knocked out in round one. I think that the Knicks have had a tremendous season. I'm still on the fence. Matchup wise, it's kind of like how when you're watching like the Super Bowl or like the first couple games of the finals, it's a fill out between both teams
Yeah.
because I feel like that's what's going to be the case with the Cavs and the Knicks. Like it's like you playing against somebody in 2K. You listen, Denny. You could have the Suns. I could have Boston. I know you got KD. I know you got Booker. I know you got Chris Paul. But I still have Jaylen Brown. I still have Jason Tatum. I still have Marcus Smart. But it's gonna come down to stops. It's gonna come down to defensive efficiency. It's gonna come down to big shots. I think the jury is still out on who's gonna take it in that series because I think it's just such a potent matchup. Did I kind of answer your question?
Yes, yes because it's called matchups. It's called coaching decisions. It's called injuries. It can go left. It can go right depending on the matchup, depending on injury, depending on what happened. Randy, am I going crazy, or are you solidified in thinking that guys like KD or AD can stay healthy for a month straight?
I to me, I would hope KD stays healthy. You know me. You ask me who's my favorite player in the NBA right now is Kevin Durant. So if there was someone who I would want to see win a championship, it would be him. I know there are some KD haters and all the Warriors stuff in Brooklyn. I don't care. Kevin Durant is bar none to me when healthy. I love Giannis. I love Embiid. I love Joker. But to me, KD's the best player in the NBA when healthy. As you've seen it, Denny Blanco, from your, I guess, ex Brooklyn Nets. I'm not sure if you're a Net fan no more. But you've seen it twice when he was healthy. They were second seed, number one seed, or once he goes out, down the drain they go. And we see
Down goes
Kyrie was
Frazier.
there and James was there, and we saw it just this year. Uh, once Kyrie, I think Kyrie got hurt or something happened. KD was balling, MVP candidate. Once he goes out, poof. Then that's when they traded Kyrie. They traded Durant. It was a whole big clusterfuck. I'm happy they're in the playoffs. I think talk about trades. That Mikal Bridges trade, like that dude right there, just got unleashed in
Was he
Brooklyn.
not? Was he not like allowed to play like this in Phoenix?
No,
Someone want to tell me?
for outside looking in, I'm not. I don't think it's allowed. But I think when you have Chris Paul there, you got Aiton there, you got Booker there. There's three guys, two maybe two and a half, three guys that would be the offensive load before Bridges. But Bridges was I guess, the number one defensive stopper on that roster. Now he's unleashed in Brooklyn. He's getting damn near 25, 28 a game. He played 83 games this year. Like nobody's ever done that. He played every fucking game.
Scoop.
First of all, he's an East Coast guy. And East
Yes.
Coast produces guards.
Yes.
He's a Philly area guard. He played at Villanova.
There it
Villanova
is.
produces guards, right? That's number one. Number two,
Mm-hmm.
I think you kind of nailed it on the head when you talked about all the other guys that were ahead of you in Phoenix. But I'll add, this is a kid who almost became a 76er. His mother worked for the organization, worked at the office in Camden, New Jersey. And it was kind of like this level of being upset because he's the hometown kid and he doesn't get to play for the Sixers. And I feel like it was better that how some people just can't be home
A lot of
and
players.
home growth.
Yes.
I think that was the case there, and I think he's close to home playing in Brooklyn. But also, I think you're right. I think playing alongside Booker, playing alongside some of those other guys, it stunts your growth. Um, and I kind of feel like he's in this boat like Tracy McGrady was when he left Toronto and went to Orlando. And it took Grant Hill's injury and him taking over. And then you look at James Harden leaving Oklahoma and going to Houston, and it became his team. Same kind of situation there. Didn't Gilbert Arenas leave the Warriors and then become a Wizard, and then he took off?
Agent Zero.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just think sometimes a new scenery benefits you. I think the Nets' best chance at winning a championship was foiled because Harden hurt his hamstring, Kyrie hurt his ankle, and Kevin took him to Game 7, and it ran its course.
Mm-hmm.
And Kai being from New Jersey and playing for the Nets, that wasn't. It's hard to play at home, and even with that commotion, they still came pretty close to taking it all away with the Bucks. But I'm not sure if they beat the Bucks if that would have created a championship experience without Harden being healthy.
Mm. And even to me, like real quick before Danny goes, if you plug out Mikal from Phoenix and you plug in Durant, it's not like Booker's taking away shine from Durant. Like Durant's gonna get his 25-30. He'll let Booker cook before he goes. He understands what's going on. I'm not saying that it's gonna, Devin Booker's gonna lead my team to a chip or whatever, but I think once you put those two players together, and if you look at the playoff bracket right now, I'm still thinking Phoenix gotta be in the conference finals. Again, it could be the Warriors, it could be Denver, it could be Memphis, but if you got KD and Booker and Chris Paul,
it could be the Clippers.
I mean, without
Paul George,
with no Paul George, that's gonna be extra tough on Kawhi to lead.
You still have Norman Powell. You still have
Bones,
Russell Westbrook. You have Bones Highland. You have a center. Most teams don't have a bona fide. You got Zubac. You have you brought in Plumlee not as a dominant guard or scorer, but as a defensive body. Definitely, like you have pieces. I really think when you look at the Clippers roster from top to bottom, they got names. They got names and they got bodies. Yeah. You got Nick Batum that can shoot the deep ball. I understand your apprehension, but I'll say this to you. I think we've talked about all of the movement and the commotion that has been the NBA. A couple mornings ago, I was on the phone with a Hall of Famer who was a top 75 player who said to me that they believe that all these movements and all these trades has actually created real parity in the NBA. And I think that's why we're looking at the playoffs like the NCAA tournament, because it's gone are the days where it was just LeBron in the finals every year or the Warriors facing whomever. Like, it's legitimate parity. We really do not know. Did you really wake up one morning and say that LSU was going to be the women's champion? No. We thought it was going to be South Carolina. Did we see UConn winning it all? No. And I think that's the same thing with the NBA. Like, a couple seasons ago, nobody saw Milwaukee and Phoenix in the finals. Last season, we didn't see the Celtics going to the finals. We ain't see the Warriors going to the finals. I think there's just more parity in the NBA now.
Right. Denny Blanco.
No, you hit it right on the head. Before you go, please. So me and Randy will stop fighting, because I will visit his house and wrestle him to the ground. Your MVP and your sixth man, good sir.
The MVP in my mind is Joel Embiid of the Philadelphia 76ers. Did you ask me the sixth man?
Sixth man of the year.
I'm torn. I think it could come down to.
Give me two people. Two, three people.
Come on. Come on, B.
He said you should know this. Look.
Well, I mean, you're not gonna woo me with that.
Come on. No. Come on. You're gonna take Brogdon. You're gonna take Brogdon. You're
not gonna woo me.
You're gonna take Brogdon.
I think that Powell should not be in it because I think he's been out too long personally. I think Quigley is definitely in the conversation. I think that there's other people that are in there. I think Quigley is definitely up there. I think that Brogdon is definitely up there. I don't think it's a clear cut. And I think, and I'll also add this. I had this conversation with Jason Terry about a week ago. He asked me who I thought the MVP was, and I think it's Embiid, and he goes, why? And I said, if I give you an answer and you don't agree, so what? I said, because at the end of the day, I'd rather be a champion than an MVP. And I said, I think that these awards are popularity contests anyway. They're not indicative upon skill set all the time. They're indicative upon narratives that you hear every day that get hammered and drilled. Like we sat the past month and people tried to say why Jokic was the MVP and why Embiid is not. And after Kendrick Perkins spoke up and said his piece, people started to really look at Embiid and look at Embiid's anger and his ability to really do what he needs to do. And then it was that game against the Warriors where people were saying, well, wow, he's the MVP. He always was, in my mind. But if I'm Embiid, I'd rather win the championship than be the people's champion.
Yeah.
Because if you look at 2004, a few years ago, Dirk Nowitzki got the MVP and they was out.
Round one.
Right? Dirk, or was it KG? It was one of them. Was it KG in 04?
KG was 04. Dirk was 07.
Yeah, and they both would bounce, and they didn't make it to the finals.
We were talking about KG went to the conference finals that year.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but the Pistons still won the finals in 04.
I mean, yeah, this is a regular season award, though.
I hear you, but everybody thought the Timberwolves were going to win that year.
Yeah.
Everybody thought Timberwolves were a popular conversation just like the Lakers were.
I mean, yeah, but okay, time out. Drop my shit over here. You still had Shaq, still had Kobe. That's the year they added Gary Payton and Karl Malone, and they were what, the three?
And the Pistons bust their ass.
Game work. Game that
and
work.
The Pistons bust their ass. I'd rather be an NBA champion than be MVP.
Of course.
I've been telling people all the time, like, if people don't understand this concept, like Charles Barkley won MVP and then lost the championship, right?
Yeah.
And then lost the championship to Jordan. Karl Malone won MVP and lost the championship to Jordan. I guarantee you both of those would want a championship.
Of course.
And they would say, forget that stinking MVP. Trust me.
No, yeah.
And I also just think, like, listen, I don't have a problem with Jokic. I just think there gets to be a point where people get tired of voting the same person all the time. Listen, if you go to Sylvia's and Melba's and you eat collard greens every day, at some point, can we have okra? Could we have
oxtails? Oxtails too much, right? Too much oxtails.
Listen, like you want something different.
So B, staying on that point. Do you think that because we've had MVP convos in the past, I think this year it felt different because it was an ongoing conversation and it made people feel a certain way with are we really in the territory of giving the same person back-to-back MVPs? That's one. Two, maybe possibly, overlooking someone else's achievements over here, like an Embiid, or not paying much attention to what he's doing because we're focused and enamored with Jokic is great. 2-time MVP, I get it. But I think this year was so different because I just felt they wanted to give it to Joker for a third time, but they weren't really sure who else is out there. Embiid, Giannis had the best record. He's won overall, 30-15. You can make the argument for him. Why did this year's MVP conversation felt different?
So to me, the MVP stands for the most valuable player. And when I look at the most valuable player, I think the person who's the most valuable, not just in the league, but also most valuable for their team. When I look at Jokic, I think the difference between this year and last year is the tools that they've added to this team. That I think that team could still compete at points, not the whole season, at points without him, right? When I look at Joel Embiid and I look at what he did in Philly, he really won me over last season when Simmons won it out. And I was around that team before the trade and after the trade. And I really feel like, to use a Friday line, he was the epitome of Baby D. The police didn't know when to kick the door in. He did hair, soul, weed, and babysat at the same time on that Sixers team. When I look at the Sixers and I look at what Joel Embiid has done, he literally play makes, he rebounds, he assists, he's the vocal leader. And I feel like this is a team that's added pieces. You added DeAnthony Melton. You had Tobias. You know what George Niang can do. I think even Harden has toned down his game some to complement him, which has been an asset. I really think that Embiid not only won me over when that whole Ben Simmons stuff was going on last year, but he also won me over when he wore that mask and he tried to carry that team. And he's been a staple in Philadelphia. He cried in 2019 when Kawhi hit that game winner and they went to the finals. Like, he really has embodied what the city of Philadelphia is. And I don't think there's been anybody in Philly, individual player-wise, that has been as beloved as Embiid since Allen Iverson. And I think the thing about Embiid that stands out is, you've looked at big men, you've looked at small forwards, you've looked at power forwards who have played, Moses Malone, you've looked at Charles Barkley and more. He is literally he moves like a guard as it relates to, like, big men. There's very few big men who are characters. Shaq had it, right? But most big men are big, clunky, silly, and doofy. Embiid, he moves like a slim, thick girl in the NBA. Like, he's just different. I don't know how to put it the other way, but I feel like Embiid's value to that team cannot be matched. And I think, while I think Jokic is an impressive player, like, he pretty much leads the team in every statistical category. I also was there when Embiid and Jokic played against each other in the regular season in Philadelphia, and Embiid did work. If you constantly want to favor Jokic, that's cool. But when you look at the tail of the tape, when they played against each other, Embiid did work. He did work. So you can say what you want. I think he's there, man. I think he's been there. This year, it's been undeniable.
And you know what, B? I think if Embiid does not get hurt last year,
for sure,
he should have won last year as well.
I'm with you.
Scoop, I was going to say the two things that I was on the fence, was going on, trying to see was where, Embiid would land with the MVP. The two things that did it for me was the straight up matchup you just mentioned. Straight up matchup.
He busts his ass.
Straight up, no, straight up, every possession, straight up, it was work.
Yeah.
And then the second thing was when he started affecting the defensive end even more, chase down blocks, helping on defense. The man is very different. I mean, unless we're going to talk about, just the centers that we've seen in the past X amount of years in the NBA. Randy, Scoop, yes, he is a unicorn for a center. We've never seen a center, and is that a fair statement? We've never seen a center like this ever in the history of the NBA. True or false? Is that fair? Is that a fair statement?
I would say so, yeah.
Joel Embiid, because you add that 3-point, you add that 3-point shot, Scoop.
I'm with you. I think because I feel like you see glimpses of different people.
Everything,
like you see Hakeem's footwork, but you see Allen Iverson's dribble. You see some of Patrick Ewing's footwork in Embiid. To kind of punctuate it, I think Joel Embiid is the 76ers' LeBron James.
Boom.
I think that's the only way he's your 99 build a player. Like that's the only way I can really describe it.
He does it all. Randy, he does it all.
Yo. So before I let you go, I'm gonna go through this playoff bracket. You let me know who you got. So tomorrow night, the NBA playoff playing real quick. I think you are in favor of this, but talk to me real quick about the addition of the playing format. Are you for that? I know some older heads might be like, nah, keep it traditional, but I think it's a great idea for it. What do you think?
Personally, I don't like it, but
wow, man.
But I'm a basketball but I'm not one of those. I guess I consider the old head at this point. I'm the type of person that still likes the NBA logo on the shoulder. But I also know the bills got to be paid, and I also realize that you got a whole week off of just no basketball.
True.
You're able to keep people engaged and enveloped into what it is. So I get the process, but it's the basketball life for me that's like,
Listen,
I
bro,
get.
they don't even put the playoff decal on the floor no more. You know how much that means to me?
Mhm.
They put it on the padding, the bat, the no. I want it on the floor. I want the
It's
big
not real until
trophy.
it's on the floor. It's not
I
real
want
until
the
it's on the floor.
trophy decal for the finals in the middle of the floor. You know that it just the visuals. The visuals you don't give me no more. How can you tell it's a playoff game and there's no fucking decal on the floor?
It's different. It's different.
Anyway,
The
anyway,
bills got to be paid. But I
you're right.
personally,
Okay,
I
playing game one, Atlanta at Miami.
I like Atlanta.
Ooh, damn! Already upset already. Okay, why? Why Atlanta? Quick, why Atlanta?
Because I think they have something to prove after almost going to the finals 2 years ago. I spent about 10 days with the Hawks last month, and really just told a lot of stories. You'll be seeing some stuff coming out in this coming week, just in the journey. I really feel like this is a put up or shut up for John Collins.
Mm-hmm.
He's worked out a lot with Kyle Korver on his shooting, and I really feel like there's new life in Atlanta with their new head coach and Quinn Snyder. And I really feel like at points this season they were playing beneath their privilege. And now in their 9-player rotation, I see them, taking a step and really avenging losing to Miami last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We have Minnesota at the Lakers.
I like the Lakers.
Wednesday we have Chicago at Toronto. I know. You can't wait for that matchup.
I got Chicago.
Chicago.
I got Chicago.
OKC New Orleans. I might go OKC. I might go.
That's a tough one.
I might go OKC.
I like OKC. I
Mm.
spent some time with them last month also, and really got to know just their personnel and their story.
Mm.
And I think one of the things that has really impressed me is they have two Jalen Williamses, but I also like Josh Giddey. And
Love
I
me some
also
Giddy.
Giddey is the truth. I like Oklahoma in this series only because I think they're the surprise. They're the David to New Orleans' Goliath at this point.
Mm.
But if New Orleans won, I wouldn't be surprised. Brandon Ingram has been playing exceptional basketball. CJ McCollum has been playing like an all-star all season. But I look at New Orleans this year, how I look at the Hawks and what I think the Hawks are coming out of. I think that the Pelicans really got a fast start under Willie Green. And I think the Pelicans got a fast start under Willie Green, just like I think that the Hawks got a fast start under Nate McMillan.
Mm.
Defensively, went toe to toe with the Knicks with the exact same record. But I think that they're missing something. And I think part of it is Zion being out. But also, I think that Oklahoma City just has that confidence. Really, in the last month, they've really elevated. So I wouldn't be surprised either way, but I'm pulling for Oklahoma in this one.
All right, here we go. The main matchups: Brooklyn, Philadelphia. Who you got? And how many games?
I have Philly in 6.
6. Okay. Okay. I say Philly in 5, but all right. I say all right 5. Um, who else we got here? I'm looking at it right now. Sacramento Warriors.
The Golden State Warriors
And
and 5.
damn, no love for Sacramento,
Clay.
huh? Phoenix and the Clippers.
Gonna bet on
I
KD.
got the Clippers in 7.
Oh, Scoop, come on, man.
Clippers in 7. I like that.
I don't want.
I like that.
You want
What,
Durant?
Randy,
You want
Randy, you
Durant?
don't like that?
You want Durant out and Booker in the first round?
He's talking about what he sees.
Listen, this is what
That's
he
what I'm
does.
saying.
I'm just saying, like, as a fan,
I like the Clippers in 7, and
without
what
Paul
I said-
George, without Paul George now.
I said 7, right? I ain't say
Yeah.
4 or 5.
He
Okay,
said 7
I
without
heard
Paul
you.
George. But you do that.
I
Yeah,
heard
you
you.
knew Paul's gonna be out for the series. So
But
yeah.
I still don't think that the Suns are done building.
That's what I'm saying.
And I'll say that know that Kyrie has a desire to team with Kevin Durant again. And I wouldn't be surprised if you saw that in free agency this offseason. It's one of the options, I'll say. I won't say it's a foregone conclusion. If you follow my reporting, you know what I know. But in this instance, you asked me specifically about the playoffs. I like the Clippers in 7.
Okay.
Scoop just coming around, just dropping nuggets left and right, having us think a little too hard. Woo, I
Okay.
love you, Scoop. I love you.
This is what we call a little 20-second timeout. So, okay, if this was to happen, you talk about, okay, we're talking hypothetical here. The Kyrie's a free agent. He wants to team with Durant again. Durant is in Phoenix. Chris Paul is in Phoenix. Tell me, am I wrong? Is CP a free agent after this year or no?
I don't think so.
So he'll still be under contract.
Mm-hmm.
So you talk about maybe possibly Kyrie signing with the Suns to play with Durant.
I think there's a few options on the table for Kyrie Irving. Combination of what I know.
Me and Denny said Miami last week.
So the thing about the Miami Heat thing is I think it would make perfect sense specifically because he and Jimmy Butler are friends.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, number one, Miami has to want to offer that to him. I know that Miami was in the conversation this past offseason as a team, as a potential destination when Kevin Durant did request a trade and Kyrie was kind of figuring out his next moves. Specifically to your question about the Suns, I know that championships but being happy, the balance of that is something that is of interest to Kyrie. I'll add that I don't want to mess up anybody's money, but I do know that if it's not just about money, you do stay put with the Dallas Mavericks in this instance. Number one, you have a relationship with Mark Cuban. You have a relationship with Nico Harrison going back to the Nike days. You have a relationship with Jason Kidd, but it would also depend on what they filled the Mavericks with this offseason.
True.
They lacked the power forward and center position, and a lot of guys were figuring out some things on the fly and just watching Luka and Kyrie just dribble the basketball. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if Dallas is not an option, you do look at Phoenix and you do look at you take a smaller deal, you're able to win, and you can preserve yourself because you have a 2-point guards and Chris Paul, or you sag Kai off the ball and you let Chris Paul run it. But also, here's the other thing. The Nets and the Suns were having conversation at the trading deadline, and the Suns were trying to get both Kyrie and Kevin Durant this past trade deadline. It didn't go down like that. The Nets were having conversation with the Suns about Chris Paul, and that was floating around quite a bit. And I talked to a couple people after the trading deadline, and they told me that was a conversation that Phoenix and Brooklyn were having. Now, here's some other things you may want to look at. You look at China. You know, a lot of people make jokes online about you better learn Chinese, buddy. There's a market for Kyrie Irving, and there's a guy that people often compare Kyrie to in Stephon Marbury. They say that he has a similar trajectory as Stephon, and Stephon ended up really rebounding his career, at least in the eyes of public perception. And I also think that my brother Stephon does deserve to be a Hall of Famer because it's not just about your play in the NBA.
Facts.
It's about your impact in college. It's your impact in high school, as well as the NBA and overall. So I feel like if you vote Yao Ming in because of his impact in China, you also got to consider Stephon Marbury for his impact in China, as well as high school. Yeah. After all, they did make the movie He Got Game about him. But to go back to my point about Kyrie Irving, China is also an option you may want to consider. So I know Phoenix is a conversation. I also think Dallas is safe if you have that rapport with some of those guys over there. But I don't think that staying in Dallas is the only option. Phoenix is something that in the NBA world that is being discussed.
And that's why they call you School B, right?
I hear a couple things, but man, I'm following my passion and doing what I need to do.
I hear that, brother. I hear that. Yes, real quick, last first round matchup: Cavs Knicks. What we got?
He about to hurt Randy feelings. He about to hurt Randy feelings, and that's all right, Scoop, because we still love him. You know, we still family.
I know how you feel, Denny Blanco. I know how you feel.
Cavs in 6.
Come on, man. All right. We're going to fast forward. Scoop, who do you have in the Eastern Conference Finals?
I have the Celtics in the finals. in the Eastern Conference Finals. Mathematically, can we do Celtics and Bucks in the conference finals?
Yeah.
Yes, the 1 and the
Yeah.
2 seed. Yeah.
Yes.
I do have. I have the Celtics and the Bucks in the conference finals.
So again, no Philly again, no Philly.
It's gonna be really interesting to see what the matchup with between Boston and Philly, because I mean Embiid's gonna be a problem for a huge problem for Boston. It's gonna be very, very interesting.
All right,
I wouldn't mind a 76ers finals though. I went to college in the area. It'd be cool to come home, but at the same time, I do like the Boston Celtics in the finals, and I really think. There's been conversations just about their defense and how it's changed between Missoula and versus, Udoka. But I think the biggest factor for the Boston Celtics will be Robert Williams III's health. And I think that if the Celtics don't have a healthy Robert Williams III, it's going to be very difficult because Brook Lopez on the Bucks side of things is going to wreak havoc. Both defensively, he's played very well this season for the Bucks, and also you got to have a healthy Chris Middleton in order to seal the deal as well.
All right, so you got Boston in the NBA Finals as well.
I do.
All right.
To win it all?
No, just to get there. Just to get there.
NBA Finals. Yeah. NBA
okay,
finals.
So now who's in your Western Conference Finals? Yeah, this is what I'm waiting for, buddy. This is what I'm waiting for.
I got the Warriors.
Okay. So hold on. So, I mean, you had them getting through Sacramento and
Memphis
through and
Memphis or LA, obviously. Or, Memphis and or LA.
Okay. All right. And who?
Possibly the Suns.
You just said Clippers in 7, bro.
You're right. I did say that.
That's right.
Say that. But that's no, right. Let me go back because I did say that.
Go ahead.
I don't know. Maybe the Nuggets and the Warriors. That I will say.
Okay.
The Nuggets and the Warriors. Okay. Y'all can leave it in. I make mistakes too.
No, hey,
listen.
That's all right. I was just telling you earlier, health is going to be a big issue. I can't stick with a team if the guys aren't healthy, or pick a team right if the guys aren't healthy and matchups aren't made. You understand?
You have to look at basketball this season like baseball in the playoffs. I think basketball in a lot of aspects has become like baseball. When people talk about days rest, when they talk about relief pitching, when people talk about days off, like I think basketball players get a lot of hell for load management. And in baseball, isn't it 181 games or something like that? Even your biggest star got days off.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's so taboo because people talk money.
They'll get a day off when they don't even request a day off. They say, "Oh, they say you ain't playing today." What? I'm healthy. No, you out. Take a day off.
I think even the fact that we're not talking about Paul George right now because he's on the mend, he's laying down chilling. To me, that's the unknown. You know how people in New York say Queens is the unknown?
Mm-hmm.
To me, Paul George is Queens. You don't know what you're going to get. You get 50 Cent of LL Cool J.
hey, listen, we seen Paul George take that same Clippers. Well, not same, but they take the Clippers by himself to the conference finals 2 years ago without Kawhi.
You see, and that's the irony. Before we go, that's the irony. Now you have a healthy Kawhi and no Paul George.
Mm-hmm.
So it's now crazy. Let's see how far Kawhi takes it, like how Paul George did it without him.
We gonna see. We're gonna see how much Kawhi can handle taking that team. Go ahead, Randy.
So B, you got Boston and Denver or Warriors in the finals. Is it a rematch? Warriors in Boston?
I got a Boston Celtics. I got a Celtics Warriors rematch.
I like it.
This time we going back to back, or we going Boston with the dub?
I got Boston with the dub.
Okay.
Boston gets revenge. Wow.
I mean, hey, if that's how it plays out, that's how it plays out, as they should. As they should. But
we gonna see.
Scoop, we're gonna see. I'm gonna have a plethora of people come on and give us their takes and finals predictions, and we'll see who matches up better and who gets the answers right. I mean, right now, I probably have Phoenix and the Warriors in the conference finals. I think just from a storyline standpoint, that's like great television. It's like pro wrestling. Like, give me Durant, his former team, in the conference finals. Let's do it and give me 7 games.
I need it.
I need it. We need it for the culture. We need it.
NBA's the new WWE.
I need we needs it for the culture. We need it for the
Yes, sir.
popcorn, the Saturday night main event. We need it for the Royal Rumble, the WrestleMania, all that. We
Right.
need it. We need it.
And listen, Eastern Conference, I think it's a crapshoot because the first time in a while where you had more 50-game winners in the Eastern Conference than the Western Conference. Only two teams with 50+ wins. East, you got four. So I know
Yeah.
there's injuries and trades and all that, but this year was like really funky where the East was looking better than the Western Conference.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. It's a lot to digest. This could be like lamb chop. We could go on and on, my friends. Some people started singing it and not knowing what it was, but ultimately, for a good 2 months, month and a half, 2 months of basketball.
Well, either way, man, I want you to. I know you got an upcoming vacation. Go ahead, enjoy it, but also enjoy the playoffs. Gonna be fun. Gonna be crazy. Definitely love and appreciate every time you come on this program.
Scoop.
You can follow my man Scoop B on Twitter. Let me get it right at Scoop B. Follow Denny Blanco at Sir Denny Blanco on both IG and Twitter. Myself, Randy J. Cruz, RENDY, letter J C R U Z. Scoop has Boston over the Warriors in the 2023 NBA Finals. From myself, Scoop B, Denny Blanco. It's in the Game podcast. Again, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, also on YouTube.com/Cruise Control Podcast. We out.
It's in the game pod. You heard?
Yes, sir.